Anna Eleanor Roosevelt redefined the role of First Lady and what it means to be a woman in society. She inspired millions around the world with her work, especially females. Eleanor Roosevelt was dedicated to making sure women knew that men are no better than themselves, that they can achieve the things that men achieve.
My grandmother took each of the girls in our family aside and told them that you have an obligation to make a difference in the world. You have to get involved in public life, whether it's in politics or charity or community groups. You have to do that. Now, she didn't do that with any of the boys. I think she thought the boys would do it on their own, but she needed to encourage the girls.
Eleanor Roosevelt was a firm believer that women should be as involved in politics and worldly pursuits as men are, because they are equal. She showed a lot of courage in her lifetime, surviving a dreadful childhood, conquering many obstacles along the way, yet still achieving numerous accomplishments inconceivable to women at her time.
Courage is more exhilarating than fear. And in the long run, it is easier. We do not have to become heroes overnight, just a step at a time, meeting each thing as it comes, seeing it's not as dreadful as it appeared, discovering we have the strength to stare it down.
Eleanor had her fair share of obstacles. Yet it was her that often said people are given obstacles in life to grow strong on. And once, when Edna Garayevich, Eleanor's close friend, said, "Not everyone grows strong on obstacles, some people just fall down," Eleanor responded very determinedly, "You're not supposed to fall down. You must keep standing and walking." Being strong and confident made her stand out from the women in her era, but she hadn't always possessed these qualities. Eleanor Roosevelt was born into a troubled family and was neglected as a child. At age 8, her mother died of diphtheria, and 2 years later, at age 10, her father died of alcoholism. Being an orphan at only 10 years of age, these experiences traumatized her, and she yearned for unconditional love, but had no one to love her. Eleanor grew up with no one to turn to, and received minimal encouragement to make a difference in a male-dominated world, and stand up for what she believes in. Then, age 15 marked a turning point in Eleanor's life. She was sent to the all-girls school, Allenswood Academy, right outside of London, England. Marie Silvestri, the headmistress at Allenswood, strived for all students to be independent-minded, intellectually active, and socially conscious. She was a model of a fiercely independent woman for Eleanor, and they became very close. She taught her to be more confident in her abilities and to express her own personality. Mademoiselle Silvestri brought out in Eleanor all the tact and intelligence, discipline, energy, and empathy that characterized her later in life. At Allenswood, for the first time in her life, Eleanor had a strong relationship with someone which enabled her to believe in herself and blossom, fulfilling the potential she had to impact society. She impacted the world around her in many ways, but most notably was with her work with human rights. When Franklin Delano Roosevelt died, Eleanor felt that her work was not finished. So did Harry Truman, Franklin's successor. He wished to appoint her as one of the United States delegates for the United Nations. Since the United Nations and their work deeply interested her, she willingly accepted. As the only female delegate in the UN, she was not accepted as a worthy companion by the males. But when she helped refugees of the war find a new country, Israel, that wouldn't be under the rule of the Soviet Union, she won the admiration of her colleagues. Eleanor was then unanimously nominated to draft the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. All countries were required to adhere to the rules and standards this document presented for how to treat others and citizens.
This Universal Declaration of Human Rights may well become the international Magna Carta of all men everywhere. Man must have freedom in which to develop his full stature and through common effort to raise the level of human dignity.
Eleanor drove the delegates on her committee to long workdays for the writing of this International Magna Carta. The declaration was adopted without a single dissenting vote. The entire General Assembly did something they never did before and haven't done since. They gave Eleanor, a single delegate, a standing ovation. Even though she was proud of her work in shaping the Declaration of Human Rights, she knew that many countries wouldn't follow words on the single sheet of paper, and that those words were not self-enforcing. She would tell the United Nations the real challenge was actually living and working in our countries for freedom and justice for each human being. She eagerly accepted this challenge, and her legacy is one that inspires many people today.
I think that sort of thing of saying that every human being has self-worth, has dignity, and can, if given the opportunity, make something of themselves is really the legacy.
Eleanor Roosevelt's legacy impacted the entire world. Through her work with human rights, she helped people of all ages, races, genders, and religions. Eleanor was also a pioneer when it came to the position of First Lady. She had been more involved in politics than any of her predecessors. She assisted her husband, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, in matters regarding World War I, when he was diagnosed with polio. In the years since her time as First Lady, Eleanor's involvement in her husband's presidency inspired other First Ladies to organize their own programs, organizations, and other legacies that regarded the U.S. and other countries. Due to the fact that she was the first woman to ever be appointed to the United Nations, Eleanor has inspired many women and other minorities throughout the world to be active participants in the politics, economics, and other government agencies in their countries. She is a woman that is respected by many minorities due to the fact that she was an advocate of human rights. She enforced equality in the premise that all humans, despite race, nationality, religion, and gender, are equal. These premises continued to be enforced in the United States and other countries throughout the world. Eleanor was a great leader, a unique trait for a woman of her time. She was and continues to be a woman that is a figure of perseverance and strength for many women and other people throughout the world. Perhaps great leaders do indeed have to come through adversity, to come through trials of fire to become stronger than they would be without it. Kemi Nola once said, "Do not give up, the beginning is always the hardest." Even though her childhood was full of obstacles and bends in the road, Eleanor Roosevelt never gave up. Attending Allenswood Academy equipped Eleanor with the necessary qualities she needed to achieve the accomplishments she did and grant human rights for all. Later in her life, Eleanor paid tribute to Marie Souvestre when she said, "Whatever I have become had its seed in those 3 years of contact with a liberal mind and a strong personality." For Eleanor, a life without being useful was a life not worth living, which empowered her to have the impact she did with human rights.
In Eleanor Roosevelt's 1958 speech marking the 10th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, she remarked, "Where, after all, do universal human rights begin? In small places, close to home. So close and so small that they cannot be seen on any map of the world. Yet, they are the world of the individual person, the neighborhood he lives in, the school or college he attends, the factory, farm, or office where he works. Such are the places where every man, woman, and child seeks equal justice, equal opportunity, equal dignity without discrimination. Unless these rights have meaning there, they have little meaning anywhere. Without concerted citizen action to uphold them close to home, we shall look in vain for progress in the larger world.